Dr. Anders started in 2000 started his long-term study looking at a high and low fertility, but within this 9 years of data, we haven't really had a response or a significant difference between the high and low fertility treatments. But also part of this study has been looking at no-till compared to conventional till, and then within these 5 rotations, the continuous rice, rice soybean, rice corn, rice wheat, and a rice wheat soybean wheat rotation. And this is a picture of rice planted after wheat from this year. In this rotation we use spring, and also this is a new experimental variety that hopefully will be released in, I think, 2 years. Just looking at the average yield data from the past 9 years, you can see, based upon the rotations, you can see that most of the no-till rice yields were a little bit lower than the conventional till on average over the time. But the soybean yield is actually a little bit better than the conventional. And you see with our wheat yield data in these rotations, the no-till is a little bit less than the conventional till. And the problem we have with our wheat, or with these studies, is about half the time the wheat was planted, and it was probably planted too late and we didn't get a stand, or it came up and got flooded out. And then our corn yields have been pretty bad in this rice corn rotation. There's a bunch of things going on this table, but I just wanted to show the production costs. But the main highlights I wanted to show is, with no-till in our study, we've had a little bit more cost in herbicides, and that's basically a glyphosate application in all these systems. And no-till is actually would be cheaper. We've calculated with labor cost is less, the the fuel cost is less, and repair and maintenance is also less. And you can see our direct cost, or the production expenses, is quite a bit, $20 roughly less in no-till rice compared to conventional rice. And if you look at the fixed costs are lower as well for no-till, because you don't need the tillage equipment. And this is just showing the early soybeans and double crop beans and the wheat systems as well, and the same thing is going on with the cost. Basically, the model that I created was a simulation model based upon the historical data and the historical Arkansas prices over the past 9 years. And basically, it simulates prices within the range of the data that we had. And we assume that there's a 25% crop share just as a land cost. And the results we'll be looking at is net income, the probabilities of a negative income, and what we call risk premiums to no-till. And this is just a picture of beans coming up through rice straw from Mr. Scott Matthews in Weiner, Arkansas. And I just wanted to show the simulated farm prices for Arkansas in my model, and the range that for rice it ranged from $4 to $9, and the average or the mean at $5.57. Soybeans from $7 to $10, and corn from $2.64 to $4 roughly, and wheat from $3.90 to $5.85. And this is another picture from Scott Matthews Farm in Weiner, just showing that sometimes the soybean stubble can float over, I guess, in the wintertime, but he planted through it, and he planted wells and averaged 206 bushels dry weight. Okay, here's the results. Look at the different rotations and then the tillage. This first column is looking at the probabilities of a negative income, and if you can see that with continuous rice, the rice soybean, the rice wheat, and the rice wheat soybean, no-till actually has a lower probability of a negative income than its counterpart, the conventional till. But the rice corn conventional till actually had a lower probability of negative income than no-till. And looking at the just the range of net income in the simulation model, we continuous rice and no-till averaged $47, and conventional till was just $3 less. And I guess to point out that no-till actually had a larger negative minimum, but also a larger maximum. So its just range was a whole lot wider on the what income might be. And the rice soybean rotation, you can see just looking across the means that this system had the highest mean, and looking at no-till it was $101 compared to $68 under conventional till. And the rice corn, as I said, with the probability being a little bit less for negative income, the on the mean or the average conventional till was a little bit better than the no-till system. But the no-till for both the rice wheat and the rice wheat soybean wheat were a little bit better than the conventional till. This is just showing the probabilities of income. In this red area would be the probabilities of a negative income, as I showed in the previous slide. And the yellow is from the probability of income between $0 and $100, and the green is probability of income above 100. And you can see that the rice soybean rotation has the lowest probability of a negative income, and also the greatest probability of income above $100 compared to the other systems. And then next would be the continuous rice, and then you can see the differences with the rice wheat and rice wheat soybean wheat systems. Okay, this is what we call rice or premiums to no-till, and based upon someone's risk preference. Basically, if somebody's risk-seeking, they're looking for they really don't care too much about the downside loss, and looking more at what can potentially pay out the most. Looking at risk neutral would be just taking the average, and risk adverse would be somebody wanting to minimize their downside loss. But what these premiums are for each rotation. If it's positive, that would be a benefit to no-till. If it's negative, it would be a benefit to conventional till. And you can see that all the systems besides corn, the premiums, the risk premiums, or the benefits to no-till are larger in all the systems besides the rice corn. So in conclusion, just from the budgets and our costs from this long-term study, we can see that fuel, labor, and machinery costs go down. Our cost of herbicides have increased with one additional application of Roundup or glyphosate. But looking at no-till at 4 of the 5 rotations, no-till should be preferred. The only system that preferred the rice corn or conventional till was the rice corn rotation. And looking at rotations by themselves, from a risk neutral or risk adverse perspective, a rice soybean rotation should be preferred, and by having that rotation, you're diversifying, so you're spreading out your risk. But for a risk-seeking attitude, continuous rice would be the one preferred. And this is just a picture from the study. This is the no-till rice, and in the background is the conventional till rice, and then the same with the soybeans. This is no-till, and back here is the conventional till. And I took these pictures last week. Some of our limitations for this study is just we're limited by the yield data that we got here at the station, and whether management or the varieties was optimal for these rotations. And also the input prices are held constant, and also the quantity used, and of course that's going to be a little bit different from year to year. But also we didn't look at any kind of no-till environmental benefits, which come with having crop residue. You reduce soil erosion and reduce nutrient runoff. And with no-till, you can increase carbon sequestration, which Dr. Nally will be talking about. But this little graph comes from some data from the Isabel farm in Hignight, just looking at continuous rice. And over time, you can see that the carbon has increased in the soil. And you have less carbon emitted in the form of burning fuel. And we don't have it quantified, but I'd say there's a reduced water use with out here at the station. No-till has not been flushed once, but the conventional till is typically flushed half the time, or about half the years it had to be flushed to get it to come up. And also on the backside with draining, a few of the guys who are no-tilling right now have actually drained their fields about 2 weeks earlier than what the DD50 program recommends. So you could have some savings on the back end as well.